Ladies and gentlemen, have you ever wondered why two people can face the exact same challenge and walk away with completely different outcomes? One crumbles under the weight of it, while the other somehow turns it into a stepping stone. It's not luck. It's not talent. It's the way they think, the lens through which they see themselves and the world. What if the only thing standing between you and the life you want isn't your circumstances, but your mindset? Imagine for a moment that your mind is like a lens through which you see the entire world. Every single experience, every interaction, every opportunity gets filtered through it. If that lens is scratched, smudged with self-doubt or fear, everything you see will seem distorted. You might look at a challenge and see failure waiting to happen. You might look at an opportunity and convince yourself it's not for you. But if you clean that lens, if you shift the way you think, the exact same world suddenly looks different. Possibilities you never noticed before start to appear. This isn't just some motivational slogan, it's a fundamental truth of how our brains work. Neuroscience tells us that your thoughts literally shape your reality. The patterns you repeat become the default settings for your life. If you constantly tell yourself you're unlucky, your mind will filter the world for evidence that confirms it. You'll miss the wins, overlook the opportunities, and stay locked in a cycle of the same results. On the other hand, when you intentionally cultivate positive thinking, you rewire those patterns. You begin to see options, pathways, and solutions where before there were only walls. People often assume that positive thinking means plastering a fake smile on your face and ignoring reality. It's not about denying the hard things, it's about choosing how you interpret them. Two people can face the exact same setback. Say, losing a job, and walk away with completely different stories. One sees it as proof that they're a failure. The other sees it as the push they needed to finally pursue something better. The event didn't change, but the interpretation did, and that interpretation makes all the difference in what happens next. Philosophers have been wrestling with this idea for centuries. The Stoics taught that it's not events themselves that disturb us, but our judgments about them. Modern psychology backs that up. Cognitive behavioral therapy, one of the most effective forms of mental health treatment, is built entirely on the idea that our thoughts drive our feelings, which drive our actions. Change the thought, and you change the trajectory. Of course, this is easier said than done. Our brains are wired with a negativity bias, an evolutionary hangover that kept our ancestors alive by constantly scanning for danger. Left unchecked, that bias means your default mental state will always lean toward the negative. You'll notice what's wrong faster than what's right. But here's the good news. Your brain is plastic. It can change, and the way you change it is by practicing. Just like building muscle, strengthening a positive mindset takes daily reps. Start by catching the automatic negative thoughts that run through your mind. Don't judge them, just notice them, then challenge them. Ask yourself, is this thought actually true? Is there another way to look at this? Over time, you train your brain to question its own assumptions, and with enough practice, positivity stops being something you have to force. It becomes your new default. This isn't about ignoring life's problems, it's about facing them with a different perspective. Challenges will still come, but instead of reacting with fear or hopelessness, you'll start to approach them with curiosity and confidence. You'll begin to see setbacks as stepping stones, not stop signs. And once that shift happens, your actions change. You take more chances. You recover faster. You stop talking yourself out of the life you want. The mind is a powerful storyteller. It can trap you in a narrative limitation, or it can free you to create something extraordinary. Which story you live by comes down to one thing: the thoughts you choose to entertain. Every time you redirect your focus toward possibility instead of fear, you're shaping not just how you see the world, but what's actually possible for you in it. So here's the question I'll leave you with. If your thoughts are creating your reality, what reality are you building right now? Choose carefully, because whatever you believe most deeply is the story your life will follow. Most of us move through life on autopilot, carrying the same mental loops we picked up years ago without ever questioning them. We don't realize how many of our choices are shaped by patterns that no longer serve us. Old fears, limiting beliefs, the stories we tell ourselves about who we are and what we're capable of. These patterns feel comfortable because they're familiar, but they're also the invisible walls that keep us stuck in the same place, wondering why nothing ever changes. Think about how often a thought, "I'm not ready," or "I'll probably fail," has stopped you before you even tried. That voice in your head doesn't announce itself as a lie, it presents itself as truth, and because it's been playing on repeat for so long, you believe it. Psychologists call this a cognitive distortion, a mental shortcut your brain uses to protect you from discomfort, even if it keeps you from growing. Breaking free from these patterns begins with awareness. You can't change a thought you never notice. The first step is to start paying attention to the narrative running in the background of your mind. When you catch yourself holding back, pause and ask, wait, whose voice is this? Where did this belief come from? Is it actually true? Or is it just something I've rehearsed so many times it feels real? You'll often find that these beliefs aren't based on hard evidence, but on outdated experiences. Moments where you stumbled once and decided you were incapable, or times when someone else's doubt became your inner dialogue. Once you've recognized a negative pattern, the next move is to interrupt it. You can't simply tell your brain to stop thinking a thought. You have to replace it with something more constructive. Instead of, I can't do this, shift to, I'm still learning how to do this. That small change reframes the challenge as a process instead of a verdict. And every time you make that swap, you weaken the old neural pathway and strengthen a new one. Over time, the brain starts to favor the healthier pattern by default. Breaking patterns isn't just a mental game, your environment matters too. Surrounding yourself with people and situations that reinforce the old scripts will make change nearly impossible. Spend more time with those who challenge your assumptions about yourself, who see your potential even when you don't. Audit the spaces you're in, your social media feed, your conversations, even your physical surroundings. Ask yourself, do these environments pull me back into old patterns? Or do they support who I'm trying to become? It's also important to understand that these patterns are sticky because they've served a purpose. Negative thinking often develops as a way to protect ourselves from disappointment or failure. But the same patterns that kept you safe in the past can hold you hostage in the present. Growth requires risk. It requires a willingness to step into the unknown without letting old fears dictate your next move. And this process won't happen overnight. Expect resistance. Your brain likes efficiency. It prefers to recycle the same dots because it takes less energy than building new ones. That's why the first few attempts at breaking a pattern feel uncomfortable. It's your brain rewiring itself in real time. But discomfort is the signal of change, not a warning to stop. When you start dismantling the mental loops that have been running your life, you create space for something new in intentionality. Instead of defaulting to fear or doubt, you begin choosing thoughts that move you forward. You stop living the same day over and over again. And that's when real transformation happens. Not because life suddenly got easier, but because you stopped getting in your own way. So here's the reality. Your patterns will either protect your limitations or create your possibilities. Every time you question an old belief and choose a new thought, you're not just breaking a habit. You're building a different future. The choice is yours. Keep repeating the story that holds you back, or start writing the one that sets you free. Challenges are unavoidable. No one gets through life without them. Yet for many of us, the instinctive reaction when something goes wrong is resistance. That tightening in your chest, the mental spiral of, why is this happening to me? We tend to see obstacles as personal attacks or as proof that we're on the wrong path. But here's the true thing. Challenges are not roadblocks. They're detours that can lead you somewhere better if you're willing to take the turn. Psychology shows us that what we label as problem is often just a neutral event. It's our interpretation that determines whether we crumble under it or grow from it. Two people can face the same situation, a failed project, a financial setback, a relationship ending, and walk away with completely different outcomes. One sees it as evidence they're cursed by bad luck. The other sees it as feedback, a signal to pivot, and ends up creating something greater because of it. The difference isn't in the event. It's in the mindset. Think about the last time you faced a serious challenge. At first, it probably felt like the end of the road. But look closer. Didn't that same experience teach you something you couldn't have learned otherwise? Didn't it force you to grow in a way comfort never could? In hindsight, many of the toughest moments in life become the turning points we're most grateful for. Yet, when we're in the middle of the storm, all we see is the rain. Here's where reframing comes in. When you're confronted with a challenge, the question to ask isn't, why me? But what is this here to teach me? That simple shift turns a powerless situation into an empowering one. It moves you from being a passive victim of your circumstances to an active participant in your own growth. And that matters because the stories we tell ourselves in difficult moments shape not just how we feel in the present, but who we become in the future. Philosophers have long understood this. Nietzsche famously said, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." When you understand the why behind your struggle, that it's shaping you, strengthening you, preparing you, you stop fighting reality and start using it. Modern psychology calls this post-traumatic growth, the idea that adversity, when processed in a healthy way, often leads to greater resilience, deeper appreciation of life, and a clearer sense of purpose. That doesn't mean challenges stop being uncomfortable. Growth rarely feels good in the moment. It's messy. It asks more of you than you think you have. But comfort doesn't change you, discomfort does. And if you can train yourself to see obstacles not as punishment, but as practice, you'll unlock a level of resilience most people never reach. Here's a practical way to start on. The next time you hit a wall, pause and write down 3 questions. 1, what is this situation teaching me about myself? 2, what skills or strengths can I develop because of it? 3, how will overcoming this help me in the long run? The answers won't erase the difficulty, but they'll give it meaning. And meaning makes pain bearable. Another crucial piece is action. Opportunities hidden inside challenges don't reveal themselves to people who stay frozen. When you move, even a small step forward, you shift your brain out of fear mode and into problem-solving mode. Often, the clarity you're waiting for only arrives after you've taken that first uncertain step. The reality is that life isn't testing you, it's teaching you. Every obstacle carries a lesson disguised as resistance. If you let challenges define you, they become walls. If you decide to learn from them, they become doors. So the next time life throws something hard your way, remember this: you don't get to choose whether challenges come, but you do get to choose what you make of them. The obstacle in front of you might just be the very thing that takes you where you're meant to go. You've probably heard the phrase, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But have you ever stopped to think about what that actually means? Your mindset isn't contained. It doesn't exist in isolation. Every thought you carry, every emotion you project, every way you respond to life, all of it radiates outward. The energy you bring into a room either lifts people up or pulls them down, and whether you realize it or not, you're leaving a trail. Think about how one person's bad mood can change the entire atmosphere of a meeting or family gathering. Now flip that. Picture someone walking into the same room with calm confidence and genuine optimism. Suddenly, people sit up straighter, conversations get lighter, and things start to feel possible again. That's the ripple effect of positivity. From a psychological standpoint, this isn't abstract. Human beings are wired for emotional contagion. Our brains literally mirror the emotions of those around us. When you consciously choose a positive mindset, you're not just changing your own experience. You're influencing the thoughts, behaviors, and even physiological states of the people you interact with. It's why leaders who believe in possibility inspire teams to do more than they thought they could, and why friends who approach with optimism tend to attract stronger, more supportive relationships. Positivity doesn't mean being relentlessly cheerful or ignoring problems. That kind of forced optimism actually backfires. True positivity is grounded in authenticity, a quiet confidence that even if things are hard right now, solutions exist and progress is possible. People can feel the difference. Real optimism builds trust. Fake optimism erodes it. And here's where the ripple gets interesting. The energy you put out doesn't just shape your relationships. It comes back to you. When you approach situations with curiosity instead of cynicism, people respond in kind. Doors open more easily, collaborations flow more naturally, and even strangers are more willing to offer support. Positivity attracts possibility not because of some mystical force, but because it changes how you engage with the world and how the world engages with you. There's also a deeper philosophical truth here. The way you show up doesn't just affect outcomes, it defines the legacy you leave behind. Every interaction is a chance to either reinforce negativity or create momentum towards something better. Most people underestimate the compounding power of these micro moments. A kind word in the middle of someone's bad day, a moment of encouragement when a colleague wants to quit. These things stick. They spread far beyond you in ways you'll probably never see. And this works in reverse too. Carrying a mindset of constant doubt and complaint doesn't just weigh you down. It spreads that heaviness to everyone around you. People start to avoid your energy, opportunities slip away, and slowly your world shrinks. The ripple effect is always happening. The only question is what kind of ripples you want to send out. Building the habit of positive influence starts with awareness. Ask yourself throughout the day, what am I bringing into this interaction? Am I adding to the noise or helping create clarity? Am I showing up as the kind of person I'd want to be around? Small shifts. Choosing to listen before reacting, expressing gratitude, reframing challenges instead of complaining about them. Create waves that travel farther than you think. Here's the kicker: the ripple effect doesn't require perfection. You'll still have bad days, but even then, owning your emotions and choosing not to unload them on others is a form of positivity. It's about taking responsibility for the energy you contribute to every space you enter. The truth is, you never fully know who's watching, who's listening, or who's being shaped by the way you move through the world. But rest assured, every thought you hold and every word you speak is leaving an imprint like ripples across a pond. So the next time you wonder whether cultivating a positive mindset really matters, remember this. Your energy doesn't stop with you. It's shaping not just your life, but the lives of everyone you touch. Make sure the ripples you send out are the kind that make the world around you better. The truth about lasting change is that it doesn't happen in one big leap. It happens in small, deliberate steps, repeated consistently until they become part of who you are. Most people approach positivity as if it's a mood they have to feel. First, waiting for life to give them a reason to think better thoughts. But if you're waiting to feel positive before you start training your mind, you're already stuck in the wrong cycle. Think of your mind like a muscle. If you don't use it intentionally, it atrophies to its default state. And that default is shaped by old fears, self-doubt, and a brain wired for negativity bias. To change that, you have to create a daily practice that reinforces new empowering patterns. It's not glamorous, but it works. Each time you redirect your focus, interrupt an old story, or choose a better thought, you're laying down fresh neural pathways. Over time, those become your new normal. Here's where most people get tripped up. They expect results too quickly. They meditate for a week, repeat affirmations for a few days, and when nothing magical happens, they quit. But that's like going to the gym twice and wondering why you're not in shape yet. Training your mind is a commitment, not a quick fix. It's about building habits that eventually become automatic, so positivity isn't something you have to force. It's just the way you think. Practical strategies matter here. Start small. Set aside just a few minutes each morning to anchor your mindset for the day. Maybe it's gratitude journaling, setting an intention, or visualizing the best outcome in a challenge you're facing. Keep it simple enough that you can stick with it even on busy days. The goal isn't perfection, it's consistency. And when negativity creeps in, because it will, don't beat yourself up. Recognize it, interrupt it, and redirect. A powerful tool for this is what psychologists call pattern interruption. The moment you catch yourself spiraling into worry or self-criticism, physically disrupt the pattern. Stand up, take a deep breath, say something out loud that shifts your focus. Even a simple stop, what's actually true here, can reset your mental state. Surroundings matter too. Build an environment that supports the mindset you're training. That might mean spending less time in conversations that drain you and more time with people who challenge and uplift you. It might mean setting boundaries on social media, curating what you consume, or even redesigning your workspace to make it a place that energizes you. One of the most overlooked aspects of mental training is celebrating small wins. Every time you catch yourself choosing a constructive thought over a destructive one, take a moment to acknowledge it. This builds confidence and reinforces the new habit. Progress isn't always obvious day to day, but when you look back, you'll see the cumulative effect of thousands of small shifts. There's also a deeper layer here in your identity. If you still see yourself as someone who's trying to think positively, you'll keep struggling. But when you start to identify as someone who simply chooses empowerment over fear, positivity stops being an effort. It becomes who you are. This doesn't mean you'll never face negative thoughts again. You will. The difference is they won't control you anymore. You'll have trained your mind to recognize them, detach from them, and choose a better response. And that's when real freedom begins, when positivity is no longer something you're reaching for, but the foundation you're standing on. Lasting change isn't about waiting for life to get easier. It's about training yourself to think differently no matter what's happening around you, because when your mind is wired for resilience, gratitude, and growth, you stop reacting to life and start creating it. So remember this, your mindset isn't fixed. It's trained. And every thought you choose today is a rep in building the mind you'll live with tomorrow. At some point, you have to make a decision about the kind of life you're going to live. Not in some distant future when things settle down or when the timing feels perfect, but right now in this moment, because the truth is nothing changes until you decide that it's going to. So many of us keep waiting for external circumstances to shift, for the fear to go away, for someone else to give us permission. We think, I'll start when I feel more confident, not realizing that confidence doesn't come first. Action comes first. Confidence is what grows after you've proven to yourself that you can do the hard thing, that you can survive the discomfort, that you're more capable than you've given yourself credit for. The mind loves certainty and it hates the unknown. That's why it fights change so hard. It would rather stay in a familiar place of frustration than risk stepping into something unfamiliar, even if that something could be better. That's the tug of war you feel inside when you're on the verge of making a move. And here's the hard true thing, the only way to win that battle is to move anyway. Every major transformation in life begins the same way, with a decision followed by a single uncomfortable step. That's it. And yet most of us get stuck at the very edge of that step, overthinking every possible outcome, playing out worst-case scenarios in our heads until we've talked ourselves out of even trying. The irony is, the thing we're most afraid of, failure, rejection, embarrassment, is almost never as bad as the suffering of staying stuck where we are. If you want to change your life, you have to stop negotiating with your excuses. You have to stop waiting to feel ready and start doing the thing, even with shaky hands and a racing heart. Because that's how growth works. The discomfort you're avoiding is the very evidence that you're moving in the right direction. This is where the philosophy and the psychology meet. Philosophers for centuries have said that life's meaning isn't something you find, it's something you create through action. Psychologists today will use the same thing. Motivation doesn't precede action, it follows it. You act first, and the feeling catches up later. The people who achieve extraordinary things aren't fearless, they've just learned not to let fear have the final say. Imagine for a moment what your life could look like a year from now if you made the decision today to start showing up differently. What if you committed to taking one small step every day toward the life you want, even if it scared you? Think about how much progress you could make, how much confidence you would build, how much more alive you would feel. You don't have to have it all figured out. You don't need a perfect plan. You just need to start. Momentum builds not from thinking about doing, but from doing. And once you start, everything changes. You see possibilities you couldn't see before. You begin to trust yourself. You stop waiting for the right moment because you realize the moment doesn't exist. You create it by acting. The only real question is this: what do you want your future self to thank you for? The safe choices you made to avoid discomfort, or the bold choices that moved you closer to the life you actually want? Because at the end of the day, this isn't about positive thinking as an abstract concept. It's about reclaiming your power to shape your own reality, one decision at a time. The same mind that has been holding you back is the very tool you can use to set yourself free. The opportunity to change your life isn't coming. It's here, in this moment, waiting for you to decide. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting to feel ready. Choose to act and let everything else catch up. Life is always moving, and every day that passes is a day you don't get back. You can keep waiting for the perfect conditions, hoping clarity will strike, or you can decide that today is the day you start living on purpose. The thoughts you entertain, the choices you make, and the actions you take are shaping your future in real time. You have everything you need to begin. Not tomorrow, not someday, but now. The only thing left is the decision to step forward, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's uncertain. So here's the truth to carry with you: your life changes the moment you do.